I think you took it too far, Bob. Well, I just want you to know that it's all about the kids.
It's always about the kids. If truth. Hey, look at that. Look at that. Dude, just stay right there. Let's do a show. Don't move. It's perfect right now. Dude, it is immaculate. Matt Gaetz looks even more downsy than he normally does. Good.
And on that note, welcome to the Stiff Truth. I am Bob West. I am here with the beloved Scotty Casanova. Hey, I noticed your Scotty Ball's name isn't up. Are we trying something different today, or?
Oh, Jesus, I don't want anybody to know my real name. Holy shit. Let me just change that right now, buddy. How the hell you doing, Bobby?
No, I'm doing pretty good. I finished most of school. I'm very excited to be done with this semester. I've got one test left next Thursday, and then that's my last final, and then I'm off until September. So that's pretty exciting shit.
You know what's really exciting though, Bob, is I remember years ago now, I can say that confidently, when you were talking about just school in general, and it was still like a very long runway. It was, you know what I mean? It was just like a lot of work to be done. And correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, you're getting pretty close to the finish line here. I think you only got like what, a semester or like barely a semester or a little bit more than a semester left.
I have
or something
6
like that.
classes left
So
before I wrap up my business degree.
And are you going to like pound it all out in the fall? Are you gonna do like 3 and 3 or something like that for
3 and 3? So I'm gonna do 3. It's really tough for me to do more than 3 classes in a semester while working and family and all that, and like have any sort of like good GPA.
Yeah, well, you're doing great. I'm very proud of you, by the way. But let's talk about the star of the show. But I would say that normally is the drink, but I'm gonna just go ahead and say this, Bob. You know, I'm just gonna hold my hands up and be like, it's okay. It's okay. The drink that we're having today, I kind of feel is a huge success if it was like a cough medicine flavor. Do you know what I mean? Like if this was a cough medicine, it'd be the best tasting one out there.
You're
Like
really selling it.
Well, a delicious cocktail is not bad. Again, and this might be the thing. I told you, maybe my pineapple juice has gone bad. I'm not sure. I don't want to blame the pineapple juice either. It's still good by the date, by what's scripted on the container. But it's not bad. You have a really delicious looking drink. You did great with presentation today. Look at Bob's drink there. And if you're not in podcast, if you are in podcast land, turn on YouTube. He's got a very lovely looking cocktail. Mine is a sorry set of tits, just like the rest of me. But you know what? It's not bad. Hold on. Yeah, you know what it is. You know what it is for me, Bob? This drink has zero tartness. It has zero citrus, right? I think that's why my palate is just responding different to it right now. And like my synapses aren't really firing, because I think we've had like, call it what it is, dude. Probably I'm just maybe 6, 7 drinks in a row that have had lime, lemon juice, or a combination of both, right? So maybe that's what's missing. Is like I'm fiending for that tart citrus flavor, and this is really, compared to that, kind of sickening sweet. But it's weird. I might just have to.
Sweet.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very sweet,
and it's weird because it has no simple syrup. So
right.
just to get down to brass tacks here, it's a shot of gin, an ounce of pineapple juice, an ounce of orange liqueur, a half ounce of Aperol, shake, garnish with an orange peel. Now, this is the recipe that we got from TikTok.
Right.
When I crosswalk that with the book, it is a little bit different in there, and that's more of traditional cocktail, like full glass, kind of vacation style drink with an umbrella or something, because it is an ounce and a half of gin, an ounce of orange liqueur, no Aperol, but fill the glass with pineapple juice. So it's a much sweeter, much more tropical kind of a drink. But I do like the twist in the Aperol. We've been on an Aperol kick lately. It's a good drink. It's more up the paper plane alley than it is like kind of the Mai Tai, fruity tropical rummy drinks. But it's okay. It's not my favorite. If someone gave it to me, I would drink it every time. But it's not a go-to.
Yeah, somebody gave it to you, drink it every time. That's really not saying much. You know what I mean? You drink rubbing alcohol if somebody gave it to you every single time. So it is what it is. No, I get it. I agree. It's not bad. Like, we're just going to go ahead and say, hey, oh, did we even say what this one was?
Oh, it's a grass skirt.
Grass skirt, which, again, a nice name. I will admit the Aperol is what excited me about it, because we had been on an Aperol kick, and I was like, oh, Aperol, nice. Yeah, that's really nice. You know what's interesting about this drink, though? If you would give this to me, blind taste test, and said, what's the base booze? I would not guess gin. I would be a little bit stumped. I don't taste gin in here. Now, I mean, if you point it out, maybe I could say, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. But honestly, as I sip it again, yeah, it's not very ginny. I think what happens here is the Aperol kind of masks the gin aftertaste, just like Aperol does very, very well in every cocktail that we've had so far. But that's interesting.
Yeah, my wife said the same thing when she tried it. She said, I don't taste the gin. And I was, yeah, it's a combination of things, like with the sweetness of the orange and the pineapple and kind of the floralness of the Aperol. It really does blend away to taste that kind of dry bitterness aftertaste that you get from the gin.
Yeah.
And you don't get that with this drink. So that's why you can't really tell, right? Is because normally you can taste that gin a little bit after every drink. But this is a good drink for that. It does its job. It's a good blend. I respect the effort here in the recipe. It's just not my top 10.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree too, and I'm gonna downgrade my feedback a little bit more than yours here. Like I said before, amazing if we're going for cough syrup flavoring. Cocktail that I'd have probably more than a couple times. Or would I make this again on my own without any like outside, influence? Probably not, but that's okay. Hey, here at the Stiff Truth, we swing. Sometimes we hit it out of the park. Sometimes we swing and we miss. Sometimes we bunt. Sometimes we hit a foul ball. I would consider this one a foul ball. That's all I'm
saying. And it's just we love to explore. We love to explore cocktails. So
emphasis on the cock. You know what I mean?
We love to explore cocktails. Feel like too short, but so yeah, it is what it is. I did make a double, so it is at least nice and stout. So it's got that going for it.
Same here, and mine was by accident. As you know, we talked about it beforehand. I didn't have my shaker quite closed when I decided to go ahead and shake my drink with much vigor, and I spilled some on the floor. So I made a double by accident. But yeah, all good stuff, Bob. I will tell you too, just because I know everybody, including you, especially you, were very concerned. I'm feeling a lot better opposed to last week. Just so you know, I still have a little bit of I'm a 75-year-old lady smoking Virginia Slims, like just pulling the slot machines, like coughing, like that kind of cough going on. I got like an old lady smoker's cough, but I'm feeling 120% better than last week. 125% better. So everybody can calm down. Scott's not going anywhere. I feel on the up and up. The other thing I wanted to tell you, Bob, and this is exciting for me, but also kind of a little bit of a downer. I was doing some manscaping the other day.
Oh, what happened? Talk to me, Scotty. Talk to me.
No. Then this is more of just like a realization thing. I found, call it what it is, 2, Bob, gray pubic hairs.
Oh no, you're drifting into gray bush.
Yes. I saw it. And I got a little sad. At first, I thought it was just the lighting. You know what I mean? Because I like some good lighting when I'm manscaping. It's all about safety, Bob. You know what I mean? So it's just good lighting. And I was like, is that just like a highlight of the lighting here? And I looked around a little bit more. I moved around a little bit. I was like, no, those are straight up gray hairs in my bush. So after I identified and verified what was going on, Bob, I had to go ahead and mow it down. I had to mow it down and get rid of them. I mean, they're obviously still there, but they're a lot smaller now. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that to you because I used to make fun of people for being gray bushes, right? Or just the term gray bush is hysterical.
So you're gonna like just for a minute? Are you gonna be that guy that's like on the Peloton looking like Rudy Giuliani with like fucking dye running down your thighs?
Hold on, Bob. Let me light up another cigarette real quick. I thought about it for a hot second, but then I thought to myself, no, I'm gonna wear these gray bush, this gray bush. I say these gray hairs, but I'm gonna wear them with pride. I mean, I've earned it, man. Let's just face it. My junk has been through a lot. You know what I mean? And it's been through trials and tribulations. We deserve some wisdom hairs in there, and that's how I'm gonna look at it, bro. Is I'm taking these with me. I'm gonna be just loud and proud. Hey, we're here. No, we're gray. We're here. Get used to it. You know what I mean?
I'm not old. I'm experienced. It's
exactly.
I get it. Yeah. Instead of doing anything about it, really the only person it matters to is the old lady, right? So, as long as she's good with it, be good with it. But if there is ever anything to be done about it, just get rid of them. You'll be fine.
Right.
You'll be fine.
Right. And when we talk about that, the old lady loves the salt and pepper look that I've had for years. Anyways, in case people don't know or if they've never seen me because they refuse, because people maybe refuse to get on YouTube. I don't know what it is, but if that's the case, I've had gray hairs since my early 20s. Now, granted, it was just a patch initially there, but I've accelerated. I'm not quite a Steve Martin type guy, you know what I mean? Or a Richard Gere, so to speak. But I do have I've got advanced grayness to my hair. We'll go ahead and say that.
Well, maybe you just like gamify it or poke a little fun at it. It's just like, hey, honey, you want to consult with the Oracle?
Well, I thought it was interesting a couple days before I was manscaping, and I noticed that my left nut was asking my right nut to turn down the music. So I knew we were getting older down there, you know what I mean? But I didn't know to the extent of where we were at. But now I know. Verified again. We literally applied for our AARP card.
Balls are way down there staring way up at the Johnson, shaking his fist at the kids driving too fast.
You guys, get off my goddamn lawn, you sons of bitches. Yes, absolutely.
Just start braiding it on the side so that one goes down each ball, but it's just a gray one. So you got like a gray looking rabbi look going. It'll work. It'll be fine.
Like literally, like my balls literally just got a save and subscribe to Metamucil. You know what I mean? So things have changed down there. But yeah. Here we are, Bob. It's a new leaf. We just turned it over, and there's gray bush on it. So,
like, I keep getting these AARP letters, and I'm like, I don't think I'm eligible yet, but my balls might be.
you know what's interesting about that? Total tangent. I've been getting those AARP letters for like 10 years. Like, is there any kind of reference about how old people are that they're sending these to?
I think typically it's 55, but I think in the AARP like bylaws, there's actually not an age limit. So if you wanted to apply at any point, as long as you want to pay the membership fee, I think you can get into it at any point. Which is probably why they're sending it to us.
I love that about AARP. They don't discriminate. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm already halfway there. I'm a AAA member. I have AAA everything: AAA life insurance, AAA assistance, AAA house insurance, car insurance. I might as well just go all in and get the AARP going too, and start getting the real travel discounts where I can start stacking.
That's what you need, bro. You need to get that seniors discount at Denny's too. You know what I mean? Is it Denny's or Shoney's? Which one is it? I think they both have
Denny's
because
I don't know if there's a Shoney's anymore.
Oh,
so
sad. You know what's funny? I'll just give a shout out to our old friend Dustin Holthusen here. Yep, just shout him out. Just that's one guy. That's definitely not like somebody that I'm, like his. Yeah, he's definitely the only guy that has that name. But I used to go to Shoney's, the one on Manal and Louisiana. That used to be that used to be right by Coronado Mall. We go there on Sundays, bro.
That's the one with the buffet, right?
Oh yeah. After a good night of partying, bro, go there and get that breakfast buffet and literally get like about 15 pieces of bacon. The rest of the plate had sausage. Go back again, get a bunch of scrambled eggs and hash browns, and just. Oh my God. I don't even know how they're out of business. I'm just going to go ahead and say
it was that. And what was the other one with the breakfast buffet? Was it Grandy's? I think it was Grandy's.
Okay. Yeah. I think
it was Grandy's that had the amazing breakfast buffet.
What is even at that location now? God, because they've redone a lot of that part of was it Uptown? I guess they call that.
I don't go into Albuquerque. There's like travel restrictions and travel warnings, like when you go to Mexico.
Christ. Oh my God, here we go.
You don't want to travel into Albuquerque either.
That's true. It is like a different place. Well, enough about my gray bush. We can move on to just other things that we want to discuss today. I do want to tell you, me and Bob here at the Stiff Truth, we respect, we support people with Down syndrome, and one of our players today has a touch of Downs, and that's Mr. Matt Gaetz, the respectable, right, the squeaky clean congressman from Florida, Matt Gaetz. Now, interesting enough, Matt Gaetz is a kind of textbook piece of shit, but today we're actually going to speak about him in a good light, and
yeah, he did real good today.
he really did. And, this is interesting, too. Good friend of the show, AOC, is making another guest appearance today. And again, she keeps hanging out with weird people. You know what I mean? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. She's not staying in her lane. And I kind of like that.
Yeah. As far as like the left goes, she really travels in some, I don't know, some really conservative circles here. Um, uh, it's kind of amazing when you hear people talk about her. Like uber conservatives, because I have a lot of uber conservative friends and family, and like she's the devil basically. But turns out she's just liberal enough to make sense on some topics. So maybe there might be some people coming around, and we'll get into why they're mentioned in the same breath here in a little bit. But I want to go. I want to go with your background here. And for those that don't know, Scotty's got a background of 3 different kind of shots of Jackson Mahomes. Yeah, youngster, Patrick's younger brother. Obviously less talented, so he does social media.
I like how you built him up. You're all Jackson Mahomes, the younger, much less talented brother of Patrick.
He got caught up in some shit, and kind of some typical young people shit, and he doesn't have the kind of people it looks like Patrick has to like keep him out of stupid situations. But here he is. He's caught up with a few felonies. You gonna tell us what's going on?
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to start by saying this. Jackson Mahomes is a piece of shit. And I'm going to tell you why, Bob. Before you get angry at me, let me tell you why. Because I know right now you're like, come on, give the kid a break. He's just like a very light-skinned black guy that's got a big afro that is kind of douchey and does a lot of TikTok dances, right? Here's my beef with him. He disrespected my boy Sean Taylor at our house in Washington. And that's not going to be tolerated, Bob. So because of that, because the kid has zero respect for NFL legends taken way too soon from this earth, I've already written him off. So just so you know, as we continue to talk about Jackson Mahomes, I'm looking at you as you're talking anything that's like good or impartial about him. I'm seeing diarrhea come out of your mouth, and then it reflects to me just red anger. So I'll just go ahead and start there. Is that okay?
Sure. Sounds great.
Okay, so let's move on. Now, as I objectively break it down.
I know very little about Jackson Mahomes.
But so do I. I'm just bullshitting, by the way.
But we did find it interesting that he was being charged with a few felonies, including sexual assault, sexual battery, whatever that is in Missouri, Kansas. I don't know. I don't know which side of KC Mo he was at. Was it Mo or KC side? I don't know.
He was in a Kansas restaurant, so he was on the KCK side. Interestingly enough, we got, dude. Sexual. Hold on, let me just let's read it out here again. Facing a trio of felony charges, Mahomes, 22, was charged with 3 felony counts of aggravated sexual battery and a 4th-degree misdemeanor count of battery. That sounds really, really bad. It kind of makes you cringe a little bit, like the way I look at Matt Gaetz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and there's a video of this. So if anyone wants to see, we're going to be posting it. Thanks to outkick.com, which is a website I found today.
Great website.
I'll put a link.
Rich content.
I'll put a link in there that they have to the video on it in the description on the YouTube, and also in the description of Spotify. I guess, does that work? Can you put a link to this? I guess you can, right?
Yes, we can. Now, I'll say this in the video, right? They say 40-year-old woman wearing a, I guess we'll call it like a pink kind of like mini skirt type deal, but like a pantsuit
too. Yeah, like a business suit, but like a pink one.
Yeah. She gets grabbed by the throat by Mr. Jackson Mahomes, and then he brings her in endearingly and forcibly kisses her.
Yeah, in like a sexual advance sort of way, not like like a I don't even know like how to I don't know. Not in
Well,
like a rapey way, more in a
but
you'll see. Watch the video.
not in like a mutually kind of consensual way either.
Because
It's just
when you say grab them by the throat, immediately I think we all kind of get like a certain picture in our head, and it's probably not so much like a supervillain grabbing like Superman by the throat and lifting him with one hand. And not exactly like that,
well,
but either way, you could tell he clearly has issues crossing consensual sexual boundaries.
right. Well, here's what I can say, guys. For since you can't see the video right now, let me paint a little picture here. What you can imagine here when we say grab her by the throat, I want you to picture her right now. Okay, so her face is kind of like, we'll just say perspirating. She's got mascara running down her face on both of her eyes. And the next move that Jackson Mahomes is doing is sticking his index and middle finger down her throat repeatedly. Sorry.
Wow. So recovering from that. We'll leave the video there, and there's a lot to be discovered. I guess we'll let the courts all work it out. He's being charged with doing this. There is videos. There's not a whole lot of context, so can go either way. It's unfortunate that it happened. And if he is, just randomly walking up behind strangers and doing that, the lessons learned, I guess.
Like, Jackson, this is not how you introduce yourself, dude. First impressions, bro. First impressions.
Yeah.
Well,
most people like say their name, introduce themselves, and then stick their hand out to shake the other person's hand. That's common in our culture.
He grabs their throat and sticks his two fingers down there.
So very weird situation, but I'm sure he'll have the best attorneys money can buy.
Well, I mean, he's gonna his brother's got his back here. Now, his brother hasn't said anything about this, which I think is smart. I mean, I'm sure his PR team is like, dude, Jackson's kind of a tool bag. You don't want to get too close to that. You've already associated yourself obviously with him by birth or what have you. But I will say this,
well, and bringing him on the sideline and all that stuff.
Yeah, I wonder now. He's like, hey, man, maybe you just watch the game at home. I'll buy you an 80-inch television just to watch it at home. Please don't come to the game now. Like, people are a little bit upset with you. But I will say this, all kidding aside, one thing that you had mentioned, which I think we just need to talk about as a PSA is, dude, pink pantsuit miniskirt. Let's just face it, to a certain extent, she may have been asking for it. Sorry. Dude, I am firing on all cylinders today. I'm feeling much better, as you can tell, Bob.
You can tell. It shows. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great. It's great to be back, guys, honestly. But again, I digress. Go ahead, Bob. You had some serious things to talk about, I believe.
No, nothing really about this. I mean, there's not a lot to say. We have the video, so everyone can kind of see what the prosecution is going to be putting forth to frame their case. And I'm sure the defense for him is going to be something like, it's all the context that makes all the difference. And kind of like you were saying, is that she was leading him on and whatever. And who knows? It'll be interesting to see how this all comes out if we were able to get any more public information from this when it goes to court, which I'm almost guaranteeing this is going to go to court. I don't think there's going to be a plea here.
Yeah, no, because there's dollar signs written all over it. Let's just face it. Yeah. As genuine and just nice as people want to seem, when something happens like this and you're prodding like a cash cow because of extension, right, from Patrick Mahomes, like you just know there's money here. There's money here to be swindled. Right. So we'll see what happens. Well, me and Bob will continue to follow the story, guys. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We thought it was funny because, again, Jackson Mahomes, kind of funny. He's, honestly, I'll be very honest, and kind of get on this kid's side. If I was 22 years old and my older brother was a half a billionaire already, I'd probably be more of a smacked ass than I was at 22. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah, and I was pretty douchey at 22 also, and my brother was not like the most popular sports
Yeah, you just
star in America.
You just got on your you got there on your own to the douchiness, which again, always respect that, Bob. Very proud of you.
Yeah, I bet you I was more douchey than this kid, but who knows? It's a tough race.
Wow. That is a tough race. The race to be the douchiest man in America
Well,
is
the douchiest 20-year-old, 22-year-old, because man,
do you
most
get
22-year-old men are douchey.
do you get douchier than 22? I think that's kind of like prime douchiness too. Think about it. Look, you literally just became 21, but it's kind of like in the rear view now. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah. I've been an adult now for like over a year. Now I'm just a badass. You know what I mean? So there is that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that is like kind of like, you know how people peak in high school? I think you douche peak around 22.
The
That makes
douche
sense.
peak.
The douche peak happens around 22. Because shortly after that, you start realizing that, you don't make enough to compete. And you have to start living your real life.
Well, it's interesting you say douche peak too. It almost sounds like that's a part of the douche, like where the liquid comes out, like where it shoots out is the douche peak. That I think I believe that's technically what the douche peak is.
Hopefully that peak is a comfort tip nozzle.
Oh, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. Absolutely.
So speaking of douche, we've got a couple of
nice transition. I like that.
a couple of kind of I don't even know. I guess they're not douches necessarily, but we got a couple of establishment politicians that are now battling it out for the debt ceiling. And I don't, there's a lot to this, and I don't want to bore everyone, but it matters because if we don't raise our debt ceiling, we're going to suffer. This recession ain't going to be shit. No one's going to give a shit. People are going to be losing their houses. Millions of people are going to lose their jobs. There's going to be shit hitting the fan in America for the next decade, and it's going to take a few decades to recover, similar to what happened to Latin America about 50 years ago. So we have to raise the debt ceiling. So the debt ceiling will get raised. It's just a matter of to what cost. So we've got the Speaker of the House, and I'll get into a little bit more of the Speaker situation. He's never not voted to raise the debt ceiling. He's always raised the debt ceiling. He raised it 3 times under Trump. Like he voted to raise it. Everyone does because it's just a matter of we got to pay our bills. But now he's pushing back, saying we're not going to raise the debt ceiling for this calendar year for 1 year because I want 10 years worth of budget cuts. And it's like, okay, well, what are you going to want next year? 20 years of budget cuts? What about the third year? What I'm saying is what he's asking for inherently is preposterous compared to the situation. And so they're going to the table and they're trying to discuss it. And I think personally, there's 2 different sides to it. We need to cut spending, obviously, right? We need to cut spending drastically. And we also need to increase revenue, business 101, right? We also need to raise the debt ceiling so we don't default, or that's going to put us in a much tougher situation trying to cut spending and increasing revenue. See what I'm saying? If the debt ceiling gets crushed and we're in a recession, how are we going to raise revenue with taxes, even on billionaires, if they're making less money? It's just kind of cyclical. So anyway, that's my whole spiel, the short and dirty with the situation. We can get into it a little bit more, but let's get your thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you just brought up the nickname of my penis as well, too. The short and dirty. That's great. I like that. But I mean, no, we had talked about this prior to. Here's my thoughts here. Everything you had said, very valid. Very valid. I get it. It needs to be done. I guess the biggest thing here is like everybody will say that we need to quit the excessive spending, or let's just call it what it is, dude. Stop spending money you don't have, which is like a novel idea, apparently. Like, really? What? We just don't keep writing IOUs? Like, but we need stuff, but you don't have the money.
This is the car, 250,000. Yeah. I want to hold on to that one.
This is the CARES Act, like whatever trillion. You might want to hold on to that one too. I mean, again, that's the biggest thing to me is like, here, and let me just pose a kind of a rhetorical question, but a question nonetheless, if you want to answer it. Do you think we'll ever see a surplus in our lifetime again? I do not. I just don't think it's possible. We have literally dug ourselves so far into a hole with no light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to getting back to profitability as a country that I just don't think it's going to happen. Now, if you remember, we had one under Clinton. We surely did. We had a surplus in the 90s. But dude, we are beyond repair, if you ask me. So when I hear the conversation, again, this is kind of what we talked about earlier this week, raise the debt ceiling, cut spending, we need budget cuts. Like, I'm not sure that raising the debt ceiling, besides the short-term benefit, obviously, is going to do much good with our excessive spending. I don't think there's nobody getting smacked in the hand with a ruler, figuratively, right? Like, it's just not happening. Nobody's learning their lesson. So as we continue, and I would almost say that McCarthy's like kind of doing a good thing in the sense that he wants the budget cuts, right? Okay, great. We need the budget cuts. The budget doesn't include money that we actually have. That's like literal money that we actually have. It's thin air money that we're just creating, which we're already very good at. So I just wonder how far this continues to go as is, right? Because we can keep saying we need to do this. Obviously it's real smart not to spend money you don't have. Yeah, you're right. But you know what? We need to increase the debt ceiling or we're going to go in default, which is, again, a very real problem that causes a wave of hardship on everybody in America. But if we do raise the debt ceiling and continue to do that, and there's nobody really taking any accountability for the excessive spending, and it just continues, when does it end? Right. And I don't see it ending well. I see it eventually, because we're already far in debt to so many other countries, but I eventually see that being a problem. Is somebody's either going to ask for their fucking money back and be firm about it, like, hey, dude, no more, or we're gonna pull ourselves into a, whether it's an actual tactical war or it's more of a financial war with people that we owe money to. And that's when I think maybe, like, finally the levee will break and like decisions will have to be made where we actually start making some real change. But now it's just kind of like we just keep putting a Band-Aid on the problem and we never address like the symptoms.
Well, first, let me tell you, like, I'll start off with just explaining the position that McCarthy's in. So we made fun of it when he was getting elected speaker because it was like 15 votes. It went on for like 3 or 4 weeks. It was fucking laughable, right? He
Sure.
finally had to make so many concessions to the Freedom Caucus, which is like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, kind of those guys. And to say that, at any point in time, if a single vote is raised to vote for a new speaker, then you can do it. That's not how it's done. But he said, let's go ahead and make that rule then if you're going to vote for me. And so they did. Now they're holding him hostage. Well, we need these budget cuts or we're just going to take your job. Yeah. We're going to call for a vote and replace you. And we're going to do it all again to where it'll just be another 20 votes again, because most of the people are going to vote for him again. And these Freedom folks aren't, and he needs a couple of their votes or some Democrat votes. Right. So
God forbid. God forbid.
Right. And so, and who knows, maybe the Democrats would step in. He's got a relationship with AOC through Matt Gaetz on the Freedom Caucus. I don't know. Maybe there would be some dynamics that would change there and there'd be some bipartisanship that might end up coming out of this. I don't know. Maybe that's probably best case scenario.
Right.
But so he's kind of like in a rock and a hard place here, and he has to push this no matter what, because he has the votes to push and raise the debt ceiling. That vote will pass. But if he does that, then he'll also lose his job as speaker, at least for the foreseeable future, because they'll put it up in jeopardy instantly and enact that clause in the agreement, and all hell's gonna. And that's what he's trying to avoid. And him and Biden are trying to figure this out because they know they've been doing politics forever. They already know what this is going to take. Now, circling back to the problem with the debt and the economy, you say it's impossible. It's just too late, right? And I look, we're like $31 trillion in debt, and that's a lot considering I think we bring in like a couple $1 trillion a year with taxes, and we spend like 2.5 or something like that. We're always spending more, so we keep building debt. Yeah, obviously we need to bring it back. Where's that going to come from? Well, it's going to come from the military. That is by far our biggest spend. We spend like $1.5 trillion in military. I don't know the exact number, but it's over $1 trillion. That's the easiest place to get money from. Being the world police, trying to go everywhere and put our military everywhere where it doesn't necessarily belong. That's expensive. So there's a lot of things that are going on. And then I know people talk about the Ukraine thing, but man, we're talking about like $20-30 billion there for like a couple of years. This isn't our problem. That's a one-time thing. Our big problem is our annual spending, and our lack of revenue. And since the Trump tax cuts in 2017, we're getting even less tax revenue than we were before. And we already weren't getting enough to keep up with our spending. So what we have here is we have a drunk fucking housewife that's running around, running up the credit cards. And
my God,
the husband's trying to get a raise and a better job and get these projects done. Meanwhile, the Amazon driver keeps coming to the fucking front door.
It sounds like this might be reality-based PTSD that you have here, sir.
I'm just trying to give it some comparison here. So, and the feeling of like it being impossible reminds me of my own situation with my health and my weight. Right, man, I'm over 300 pounds. This is like my numbers are all fucked. I'm kind of killing myself. I need a lifestyle change, and it's impossible. It's impossible. And it has taken some cold, hard work, and with no results coming, long-term results, but working anyway, even though you're not seeing results. And then over the months, which in our case would be years and decades, we would actually start seeing results. So if we can actually start doing the changes and make those difficult decisions now, increasing the taxes. You know, people like it. Like oftentimes I hear America needs to be like it was in the 50s. Well, in the 50s, anyone making like over $100,000 got taxed like 90% or some shit. Millionaires got taxed 99%. Oh, anything over $1 million. Like they didn't get to keep it. Right. They had to figure out other ways to make money at that point. And in other words, we had a lot of tax revenue coming in. We are making a lot of money for the government. And we're not doing that anymore. We're just spending a lot of money, and we are no longer making any money. We're taxing me and you does nothing for a $1.5 trillion annual expenditures for the U.S. government. You know, you're going to have to like start taxing Bezos and start taxing some of these other guys. We have more billionaires in our country than ever in the history of our country by like exponential numbers, and they're not really getting taxed. They're not really having to pay any taxes, and there's a lot of problems here. Now, AOC and Matt Gaetz I want to introduce a bill to start making people have faith in the government again, as Biden and McCarthy are making us lose faith. Right?
Tough task.
On the other side, you've got a bill introduced by the two most odd duck co-bill writers I've probably ever seen. Right?
And let's face it, he's got a touch of downs in that picture, at least. I mean, he's got like a happy little fairy dust sprinkling of downs. And I mean, that's all I got to say about that. But yes, very unlikely.
Before we get into the bill, is there anything you want to talk about with the debt ceiling?
I know. I think you nailed it here. And I spoke my piece. I really did. Like at the end of the day, I do not think it's inconceivable that we come back from this. But yes, the way things are going and the way people's mindsets are, I don't see any reeling back of spending in a real way at all. I see the right and the left continuing to justify excessive spending in spite of the other teams spending, right? You're like, well, we're spending stuff on real things that need funding, like the military or like socialized, whatever it is, right? They're always going to justify why their spending is more righteous than the other, right? But there's not going to be any real stopping of spending. And I don't see us actually doing what we should do and continuing to bring all kinds of like real manufacturing and producing to America. I see us continuing to outsource that just so these billionaires that you speak of continuously have a bigger profit margin, but nothing that we can really realize stateside, unfortunately, right? And we're not taxing them enough either. So I just see that just perpetuating itself for a while here. And again, until something really bad happens. And then maybe we might like take a hard shift somewhere. So we'll see what happens. Again, I don't know. I have to be optimistic because here we are. I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about everything, but I just don't see us pulling ourselves out of debt anytime soon.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it has a lot to do with I hate to be so callous about it. I don't think we get a chance to even start pulling ourselves out of debt until the boomers retire or die out of office.
Here we go again. Right in the death sentence for everybody over 65, Bob West.
Hey, man, I've been around a long time. I've been around enough to see what their leadership has done. Mm-hmm. So, moving on. AOC and Matt Gaetz. Fucking
yeah, I like how you glaze over just mass genocide. Good for you.
No. They die off on their own. They're all
I didn't
turning into dust anyway.
I didn't round them up or anything like that. But yes, AOC and Matt Gaetz, an unlikely pair, as you said.
So, I fucking love this. It reminds me of the old Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau, The Odd Couple. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
It's just like two farther apart people. And we saw a little bit of it, and we all wondered when AOC whispered into Matt's ear about something. I forget what the hearing was, but they had a chuckle there, and we're just like, what the fuck are they talking about? I thought they were like mortal enemies. And then the whole conversation came up about, that's only on camera, right? And but obviously this bill didn't write itself overnight. So they've got a working relationship and they know each other and they're trying to get this done. And I think tactically, her being kind of one of the more progressive Democrats and him being one of the more conservative Republicans on the Freedom Caucus, I think it makes perfect sense for them to try to unite the clans, right? And I think this is great. They're coming up with a bill that I had the name of it. It's called the Bipartisan Restoring Faith in Government Act. And I actually put a link to Brian Fitzpatrick. He is a congressman out of Pennsylvania that's a co-writer on this bill. It's written by Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York, Matt Gaetz from Florida, and Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois. I know I just like butchered that shit, but
no, you did it. You did it.
But anyway, so they're writing this bill, and essentially what this bill is for is to make it illegal for elected officials to trade stock or their family members.
Not just that, Bob. We're taking it one step further. I did a little bit of reading into this. They can't even own fucking stock, which honestly, that's a pretty big commitment as you get into politics, right? So if this passes, you'd be like, well, dude, I've made so much money investing in my early 20s and 30s or whatever. I want to be like congressman or whatever. Like, hey man, you've got to sell all your stock or like give it to your kids or something like that. Or put it
in a trust.
Right.
You can put it in a third-party managed trust, similar to how presidents handle their personal businesses.
Right. Put it in trust to your kids, whatever, right? But literally, that is a pretty big commitment, especially if you're a hands-on investor, right? And you're like, you enjoy manipulating markets and insider trading, right? If you enjoy that kind of thing.
I mean, most criminals do have like a little penchant for what they do.
Yeah, a little bit of passion, right? But no, I think this is big. And I don't know how many shows ago we talked about this, but this is really, really something that needs to be done. Jesus Christ. Just for the real dude, to have people actually look out for the people. Let's just put it that way, right? Because honestly, dude, if they have no vested interests like this, dude, do you think the past few years like unfolds the way it does, right? With the whole pandemic thing and all this stuff, dude. No. I think everything changes dramatically.
This is a shift in the timeline. If this happened 10 years ago, we'd be in an 100%. Alternate fucking universe right now.
100%. Yeah, now, you'd have like real like genuine politicians doing what the actual definition of a politician is, instead of sleazy douchebag used car salesman-esque type of caricatures that you get, right?
No, this is long overdue, and this is just common sense politics. Yeah. And most countries in the world that have democracies, republics, don't operate this way. They already have something like this in place because they try to fight corruption. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, we go in waving our flag saying anti-corruption, but we have insider trading going on, allegedly, at this level. But I mean, we see it all the time. I have people that I follow on TikTok that is specifically like certain Congress people's portfolio, so that I know like what stocks to dump or buy whenever like things are going on. That's sad that we have to use these guys as KPIs for stock monitoring, because they clearly are insider trading. But is it insider trading if they do it beforehand? I mean, no, I did it before the bill goes out. Yeah, but you knew it was going to come out. I didn't know it would pass. So there's all this plausible deniability gray area. This bill eliminates that gray area. Yeah. This just says you're not going to do it. If you get caught doing it, you're going to go to prison. You're going to lose your office, and that's going to be that.
Well, there's just an obvious, which people should have seen years ago, a conflict of interest, right? You're like, wait, what? Like, these people can actually change the profitability of this industry and this industry based off of like what papers they sign, and the motivation to do this is not from their constituents. Like, maybe we should change this. I mean, it's just one thing,
obvious. Because of the bipartisan nature of politics in general that you can actually point to this bill as an example of, because of the polar opposites that AOC and Gaetz live on. There is no fluff in this bill. There is no hidden things in this bill that if you vote for it, you're going to also have to deal with these hidden little check boxes that they're also going to slide into this bill. It's a straight up bill about you can't do trading anymore in the stock market if you're going to be an elected official, and that is that. I love that. I fucking love it. And be mindful, Scott. Well, let's keep a close eye if this bill ever actually hits the floor, because if it doesn't hit the floor, it means McCarthy never let it. And if it does hit the floor, let's keep an eye on who's voting against it, because I have a feeling that most of the establishment politicians are going to vote no on this.
Yes, and if it doesn't hit the floor, you can be damn sure that when he was a child, paint was hitting the canvas and his parents were cheering him on when Matt Gaetz was quote unquote painting. You know what I mean?
Or during conception, his dad sits up there like kind of like pumping away with like a chip bowl full of paint chips. It's just like getting down.
He's got a microwave oven on with the door open, just right there.
It's like got a spoon that's just like coated in lead paint, eating this shit with like.
Oh my goodness. I will tell you what, man. But yeah, no, it's refreshing. And again, we now have talk about inklings of hope, right? Obviously it's not the national debt or whatever, but bipartisanship. We've seen it now in a few of our last recent shows, right? We've seen AOC again making another guest star appearance with Rand Paul, and now making another guest star appearance with Matt Gaetz. And again, the two polar opposites that we know by themselves are too much of one or the other, too right or too left. Together, they can actually kind of balance themselves out. And isn't that a good takeaway for today's show?
You know, it is. And I love to see it. I want more of it. And I would say that if you support this bill, that you do make the effort and just get a hold of your congressman. If you like just Google how to like email my congressman, you can find a list of all the Congress people. And you just type in your address and it'll tell you like the email address and everything for your official US congressperson. All right. And you just write them, say, hey, listen, it's the bipartisan, what is it? The bipartisan Restoring Faith in Government Act.
Government, yes.
Please support this bill. Get it to the floor and vote on it. Everyone is behind this bill, and it'll make people start listening, because if they don't support this bill, they might not pass their primary next year. So, I mean, I know everyone thinks their vote doesn't count, but reach out anyway. So. That's my suggestion. Everyone should support this bill. If you don't, then I don't even know. You're either dumb or you have some sort of investment as to why you don't support this bill, because this is just common sense.
Look, let's just wrap it up in a nice little bow here. Okay. If you don't support this bill, you're a piece of shit.
Pretty much.
Does that sound good?
And not allegedly like, no, you're like Jackson Mahomes, like a real piece of shit.
Look, if you don't support this bill, you're grabbing America by the throat and you're shoving your
Yeah. Your index finger and middle finger right down the throat of America, while America is crying and mascara is running down its eyes.
That's exactly the image we want, baby. Now, do you see what you guys are doing to the
quit mouth fucking the Statue of Liberty and support this bill? Anyway, thanks for joining us today. What a show.
Absolutely.
Anyway, hit us up, like and subscribe, tell all your friends. It's the best podcast out there, and there's just no other way around it.
And if you like really good tasting cough medicine, get out there and mix yourself up a grass girl. And until next time, kids, we'll see you soon.
See ya. Cheers, Scotty.
Oh, cheers all the way. Cheers to your tits.
Cheers for fears.
Oh, that's a great band.
Cheers for beers.
So easy to share. Recline that thing all the way.